Does it feel to be one of the beautiful people? Now that you know who you are, what do you want to be? On time. Sorry, I'm late. And happy Friday. How are you guys? That song was in my head for you. I was thinking of all you beautiful people out there who want to learn. Hello, beautiful man. How are you? How are you? I'm excited. I'm actually studied up for this. I'm studied up. We're on both channels. I don't really... Where would I delete it if I was going to? I'm just leaving them both run just to be rebellious, you know, because YouTube is, you know what they are. Which one are you on, Benjamin? Which channel are you on? I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about you the other day. I'm going to be getting some packages out and some goodies again. Okay, so look, today we are on session 9. If you guys don't know, my name is Deanna, and I'm streaming out of Humboldt County, about Humboldt County to Humboldt County, and I'm going through this lesson, this course on the making of America. You're on Hilltop? Okay, cool. And I'm inviting anyone who wants to join me to learn, because I'm not really teaching this yet. I suspect I may want to go through it again once I finish it and complete it. There's 31 sessions. We're in session 9. I'm on stream number 37 because, or is it 38? Because each session is like 2 hours long. And so we're breaking them down to 20 to 40 minutes typically. And I don't really have any goal other than to keep it digestible and talk normal. If I could do that today, that'd be great. But if not, then that would be just normal. So welcome into my channel. Let me put that Hilltop Workshops in. We will chat on that channel. I can tell already I'm going to be tongue twisting because I'm super hyper. I got something in my eye too. But I am studied up for this, and I am excited. It's Friday because, you know, we have good weekends typically around here. They're not exactly relaxing. We like work. We like to work. So work is relaxing for us. Work is how we get rid of all the stress in life. Just work harder. I'm trying to find my own channel. I can't. Where did you go? Oh, it's because I see. Okay, here we go. I'll share it there. I'll share it there. I'll share it here. I'll share it everywhere. Man, I miss reading Dr. Seuss to my kids. Those were fun times, you know. If you are a young mom and you are getting to read those books, yay you. Those are fun books. Okay, so if you do not already have this book or this kit, you can get your own. And if you can't get your own, you can follow along with me because I'll upload the lesson I told you I was not going to be able to talk today, right? I did warn you guys, right? I could just tell. You just feel it. It's all Girl, you need to slow down. I had 2 cups of coffee. That was a mistake. That was a mistake. I know I need to get off the coffee. I know I do. Seriously. I probably don't even need it. Okay, we're on session 9. So what you can do is you go to Hilltop Workshops. No, I'm sorry. My brain is not on. Brain, turn on. Check. You go to standuphumble.news and you go to more if you got your screen blowed up like I do. But typically it will show the Constitution tab and then go right to the bottom of it. And there it is. Okay, so this is Center for National, I always forget to say it. National Center for Constitutional Studies. Excuse me. I think I swallowed a bug. Okay, so you're bringing it all on, huh? I rebuke you. Get out of here. Get out of here. You and all your little minions. Be gone. Jesus' name. My gosh, it's just one thing after another. Okay. Number 7. We're on questions 7 through 13. So if you go to the Constitution tab right here, we are on this section. We just did a great one. I really enjoyed it on inalienable rights. And that was the last one I did on Wednesday. And this one is, I should have titled it, and I think I will go back in it, but it's really the need for a miracle. That's the beginning of this chapter. So many things, excuse me, as I have been studying through this and learning about what's going on in my own community and learning about our history, they're parallel. And this one is no exception. So let's get right into it. I'll open both of these pages so that we can have the questions on one side, and we'll have the pages that I've uploaded for you, which today was quite a bit. I'm not going to say it's the reason why I was late, because I never offer excuses. It just is. But sometimes it happens, and sometimes I can't even make it, but I mostly do. Sometimes I need a respite too. Everyone needs a respite. My answers are, I shouldn't write on that. Look at that. It's like coming through from the other pages. Okay. Questions were on 7 through 13. And let me move this closer to over here. Okay. And we're chit-chatting on the Humboldt Hilltop Workshops if you are following me on YouTube. And you're on both channels. There's only one we're really chit-chatting in. So, okay, number 7. Even though the Americans had won their liberty, there was something they had not learned to do that was vital to their natural preservation. What was it? Page 111 will show us the answer, because it's a super, super duper easy study. What the answer is, I know this is going to be shocking to you guys. This is going to be a real shocker here. What they had not figured out to do yet was to govern themselves as a united republic. That's the answer. It was frightening and complex solution. How could they reorganize themselves so the Union would not collapse? That's where they were at. So, that's the answer. On number 8, who expected the United States to collapse? Oh, just about everybody around us. Spain. What was the other one? England, Spain, and many Americans. Many Americans expected the United States to collapse. Number 9, describe the restlessness of American military units after the war. This was really, whew. Are these in order? Yeah, these are in order. The units after the war was mutiny. There was a spirit of mutiny, internal revolt. there was a mutinous revolt against the Congress, and it came from military circles. Let's see, do I have a sweater here? Chile. I'm Chile. Yeah, I've had fire going a couple times this week. It's foggy. If you live somewhere, it's like normal summer. Enjoy. But some of you guys are frying too. Like 105 does not sound like my cup of tea. I'd rather be able to go outside and work, because you can always just put layers on and take layers off. But when it's hot like that, I know it's like the roofers and window washers and stuff, they got to work in the early morning hours in Phoenix and stuff, Okay, so let's get into this answer. This is where I wanted to read. I've read all of this except for the last question is a lot of reading, and so we'll read some of that together. But there was a lot of revolting going on, and like I just said, against Congress, and it came from the military. And where's my notes here? What page is that? Okay. Okay. The victory had been won, but Congress instructed the army to disband and return home without being paid. Let me make sure I'm sharing here. Yep. Okay. The tenseness of the situation was reflected in several incidents, some of which we have already mentioned. So here's just a few brief ones to hear and learn about our history. On January 1st, 1781, over 2,400 soldiers mutinied. They killed an officer and launched a protest march to Philadelphia to vent their anger on Congress. Washington intercepted them at Trenton and worked out an accord, but he lacked the resources to provide any genuine solutions to their truly legitimate complaints. About the same time, those pain in the butt New Jersey people had mutinied, and 2 of the leaders had to be shot before order was restored. 3. During June 1783, a body of around 100 soldiers at the Pennsylvania line stormed the seat of Congress in Philadelphia and so terrified the members that they fled to Princeton and then to Annapolis for safety. The seat of government was not restored to Philadelphia until after the Constitution was adopted. Way to run them out. 4. After the peace treaty, the foremost business interest in the nation seriously considered uniting with the army to set up a military dictatorship in order to save the country from total ruin. That is some of the things that were going on after the Revolutionary War. Ten. How did depression, taxes, and rioting bring the American experiment to the brink of disaster? Is that the one I just read? No. It's similar. It goes right into it. Oh, look, there's our answer right there. Depression, taxes, and riots. I told you this was a super easy study, right? And I'm just learning it for the first time. In case you didn't know, I'm not actually adequate to say I'm teaching this course. I'm learning it, but I might teach it again because I didn't write down the answers in half of my binder as I did it with you guys. And so now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch my own videos or I'll just reread it and do it again, Let's see. Along the Atlantic seaboard, what did I have? I did have something I wanted to talk about that last question just to finish up here. I have some things underlined about the restlessness and the military units, what had happened. Also, I want to not brush over this. It appealed to the federal creditors. Let's see. We were reading some of that answer. Yeah, to save the country from ruin, they wanted to set up a military dictatorship, okay? But is that guy still speaking? Somebody, let's see, who is this? Historian James Thomas Flexner wrote, It appealed to the federal creditors who were already organizing a national association, to outraged soldiers, to congressmen and ordinary citizens who dreaded disunion. So we have Brooks and Ogden, who constituted the Army's official committee to Congress. Among the correspondents in Washington's camp on the Hudson were two troop generals, Gates and Knox, with their staffs. Alexander Hamilton gladly cast himself as spokesman and prime agitator. I did not want to brush that over, okay? All right, now back to the other question. How did depression, taxes, and rioting bring the American experiment to the brink of disaster? Well, let's see. All along the Atlantic seaboard, Americans were suffering the depths of a paralyzing depression. As we'll see in a moment, a considerable amount of economic chaos was the direct result of inflation during the war. Some states provided relief for their poverty-stricken farmers by issuing scrip. Remember scrip? I was remembering that when I was studying this earlier. This scrip could be used to pay taxes to the state. They also invoked the stay law, which postponed the collection of all debts. To avoid levying additional taxes, Virginia took advantage of inflation and paid off her debts as the fantastically depreciated value at there. This allowed her to discharge her debts on a basis which was sometimes 1,000 to 1. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts did none of those things. There was virtually no employment for common labor, and soon droves of citizens were being stripped of their real estate, their cattle, and their household necessities. Because of foreclosures by their creditors or the tax collectors, they faced a term in the debtor's prison. In Worcester County alone, 92 persons were imprisoned for debt in 1785. In desperation, the people finally resorted to the same measures of defense they had used against the coercive acts of George III. Mobs of farmers assembled to prevent the courts from sitting, so there would be no more judgments for debts. They held county conventions to pool their grievances and draft petitions. They appointed committees of correspondence between counties. This was a grim joke on men like Sam Adams, who were now respectable members of the state council. They reluctantly proposed to hang anyone who used the same methods they had employed in 1774 to 1776. Shays' Rebellion. Unable to solve their immediate problems, state officials had the governor issue a proclamation against unlawful assemblies and had the militia sent out to disperse them. The desperate farmers pushed reluctant Daniel Shays into the chairmanship of a committee which was determined to prevent the Supreme Court of Massachusetts from sitting at Springfield, lest it indict the rebelling farmers for treason. On January 24th, 1787, a force of 1,100 men led by Shays entered Springfield to seize the courthouse and the federal arsenal. They suddenly found themselves enveloped in a withering blast of artillery fire, which killed and wounded a number of the poorly armed rebels. The survivors fled in the snow to Petersham, where they were attacked again and dispersed after many prisoners were taken. Shays, a former captain in a Massachusetts line regiment, escaped to Vermont. 14 of the rebels were sentenced to death, but when things had cooled down, they were pardoned or given short sentences. Public opinion throughout the United States recognized the serious implication of Shays' Rebellion. And this actually is the answer to the next question. I thought it was. Maybe not. But it kind of is. It became apparent that raw freedom without economic stability was certainly not the pursuit of happiness. Okay, let me go to the next question here. 12. Describe the agony that George Washington expressed over the state of the nation just months before the Constitutional convention. Wait, did I skip something? I must have skipped something. Oh, 11. Describe the fiscal policies that cranked up the engines of inflation during this period. Sorry. Okay, yeah, we're over here too. 116. You have to click that show me tab with the plus sign, or it will look like there aren't the rest of the pages there, but they are there. Okay. So look at, there's the answer right there, you guys. The cause of consequence of inflation. When the Revolutionary War first loomed up before the Second Continental Congress in 1775, it was obvious that it could not be fought without money. The most practical procedure is to impose tax on the people. This raises the money for the emergency, and at the same time reduces the money supply available to private channels, which might otherwise outbid the government. The only problem with the Continental Congress was the fact that it had no power to tax. The only other method of financing the war was to print paper money as legal tender. Repeat. The only other method of financing the war was to print paper money as legal tender. Count D'Estot de Tracy describes what this does. A theft of greater magnitude and still more ruinous is the making of paper money. It is greater because in this money there's absolutely no real value. It is more ruinous because by its gradual depreciation during the time of its existence, it produces the effect which would be produced by an infinity of successive deterioration of the coins. All those iniquities are founded on the false idea the money is but a sign. Excuse me. Since Congress had no authority to levy taxes, it began printing paper money with the promise that the states would subsequently redeem it through their taxes. Altogether, the Congress issued approximately $200 million in paper money. Oh, but the best part is coming up. The best part is coming up. Not only did Congress print $200 million of paper money, but the states did too. Yeah, they did too. Oh my gosh. Congress issued approximately $200 million in paper money. The states, however, instead of taxing their people to redeem this currency, turned around and printed $200 million of their own. Sounds like a bunch of bull, you know what, to me. Laws were then passed to force the people to use this paper money as though it had real intrinsic value. Any merchant who would not accept the new currency would forfeit his goods to the customer with no further payment whatever. As prices began to rise, As prices began to rise, thereby reflecting the depreciating value of the continental currency, some of the state governments indulged in price fixing. What? No way. Which only created shortages and solved nothing. Huh. Shocking. Price controls take out the profit incentive, which drives manufacturers to other means of making money. This creates shortages of the product and fosters black marketing, which in turn fosters bribery and eventually brings corruption to every stratum of society. Keep complying with their nonsense. Keep complying with central casting. Keep letting criminals rule you with their baloney and their felonies and everything else they're doing. Allegedly. I'm not a criminologist or anything or a liar lawyer. I just got 2 eyes and a brain left. I can think for myself. Oh, sorry, I got a little distracted. I'm sorry. I just see this in Humboldt a little bit, like how they just continue with this shenanigans, just riding on the piggybacks of this stuff. Money, 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 money. But they must have just been floating in it, huh? Taking baths in it and stuff. Like, wow, this is word stuff. This is word stuff. This is word stuff. The skyrocketing inflation contributed much to the loss of confidence in the Congress as well as the state governments. Eventually, the continental dollar sank to a value of less than a penny. And finally, even the government. What? The own government that made you do it? That strong-armed you into accepting it? They wouldn't even accept it as a form of payment for their government debt. Taxes began to be collected in kind. The latter part of the war was fought by armies that had so little financial support, they were forced to live off the land and to confiscate needed supplies and equipment from the people. How paper money and inflation destroys society. We are reading on. The founding fathers learned that inflation has a drastic impact on the character as well as the economy of a nation. It has a drastic impact on the character as well as the economy of a nation. It divides society. Employees strike against their employers. The governed turn against their government. The creditor brings the force of law to bear upon the debtor. The debtor is beside himself and, since he cannot pay, counts his former friends as creditors and as his enemies. Inflation pits the producer against the consumer, the populace against the speculator. It turns economics upside down. Sound money makes frugality and saving self-rewarding, but inflation makes it expedient to constantly spend the money before it is eaten up by its dwindling buying power. Instead of getting out of debt, people struggling under inflation find it advantageous to borrow heavily in hopes of paying off the debt in highly inflated dollars later on. Citizens with fixed income from insurance or pensions are literally robbed of their life's savings. SNL, I remember that one. Lehman Brothers. Hatred, suspicion, reckless spending, and profligate living are characteristic of a society indulging itself in spiraling inflation. John Adams summarized the impact it had on the economy of the 13 states. I am firmly of the opinion that there never was a paper pound, a paper dollar, or a paper promise of any kind that ever yet obtained a general currency as money, but by force or fraud, generally by both. That the army has been grossly cheated, that the creditors have been infamously defrauded. Some closed their shops to prevent being paid off with worthless paper money. That the widows and fatherless have been oppressively wronged and beggared. That the gray hairs of the aged and innocent, for want of their just dues, have gone down with sorrows to their graves in consequence of our disgraceful, depreciated paper currency. 12. Describe the agony that George Washington expressed over the state of the nation just months before the Constitutional Convention. Next page be 118. It says right here, Washington's lamentation over the state of the nation. On November 5th, 1786, some 10 months before the Constitution was signed, Washington addressed the following comments to his fellow Virginian, James Madison. No day was ever more clouded than the present. We are fast verging to anarchy and confusion. How melancholy is the reflection. What stronger evidence can be given of the want of energy in our government than these disorders. A liberal and energetic constitution, well guarded and closely watched to prevent encroachments, might restore us. On December 26, 1786, the following sentiments were expressed to General Henry Knox. I feel, my dear General Knox, infinitely more than I can express to you for the disorders which have arisen in these states. Good God, who could have foreseen or predicted them? On February 3rd, 1787, only about 7 months before the signing of the Constitution, he wrote, if any person had told me that at this day I should see such a formidable rebellion as now appears, I should have thought him a bedlamite, a fit subject for a madhouse. The founders' agony, which led to a constitutional convention. The nation had reached the lowest level of humiliation. This actually goes on for, well, that was Washington's lament. But the last question, I'm not going to read all these pages, but I did upload them all for you guys because it goes from 118 to 31, and I'll highlight some of the answers here. But the last question for today is, read the statements of the founders as they described the American scene at the time. Which points particularly impress you? So from 118 to 131, this is the part I actually didn't get to read myself either. So unfortunately, I would have liked to be able to do that, but we will. I'm going to read just their titles of each of the segments here. We've got Hamilton, and it says the nation has reached the lowest levels of humiliation. He's asking a lot of questions here. Excuse me, about debt. There's a lot of worthy questions to read. This is very heady. I just want to read the titles. And I think it would be a great one for discussion, but it's just so long. I'm not going to read these all. Well, maybe, let me see. A lot of these answers are what the Constitutional Convention articles didn't cover. That's what a lot of these are. So maybe I will read these questions that, were they all Hamilton? I will read these questions and then I'll get off with that. This is the last question. It says, read through the statements of the founders as they describe the American scene at the time. Which points particularly impress you? Why does it say it goes through 30 to 31? Because it's just really talking a lot about what the articles failed to do. I'm not really seeing. I'll just read these statements. I think these are from Hamilton. And if you guys understand it better than I, then the pages are there for you. You can read it. But what I'll do is read this page by these quotes from Hamilton, I guess. What he said about the nation reaching its lowest level of humility, right? The statements found as they describe American scene at the time. I'm misunderstanding that question. I'm just going to read these titles like I planned to do. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't get to finish the study. I'm not sure what I should do. It wants the question is having us read more than just Hamilton. So the nation had reached its lowest level of humiliation. We may indeed with propriety be said to have reached almost the last stage of national humiliation. There is scarcely anything that can wound the pride or degrade the character of an independent nation which we do not experience. Are there engagements to the performance of which we are held by every tie respectable among men? These are the subject of constant and unblushing violation. I'll read a couple of these titles. Articles gave central government no power to enforce decrees. That's Hamilton again. Articles lacked fundamental power for a sound government. That was W. Davies. He said the general objects of the Union are first, to protect us against foreign invasion, and second, to defend us against internal commotions and insurrections. Third, to promote the commerce, agriculture, and manufactures of America. As to the first, yeah, I'm not going to go into depths of all that. We'll just read these headlines of these guys. Davy, again, no power to raise revenue. Immediate need for stronger union. United States too weak to be feared or respected. Articles did not allow majority rule. No power to carry out decrees. Disinterested states ignored decrees of Congress. States had a veto on Congress. States treating each other like foreigners. Our ship of state had sprung a leak. Confederation Compact no longer binding. That was Pinckney. I'm sorry, I stopped reading who was saying these things. Criticism of Rhode Island. The United States were bankrupt. Confederation collapsing economically. Oh, what they say about bankrupt? Johnston said here. Where'd it go? 124. Uh-oh. Oh, no. 124 isn't there. I'll upload it after I get off of here, but I wanted to read what Johnston said. The United States are bankrupt. They are considered such in every part of the world. They borrow money and promise to pay. They have it not in their power, and they are not obliged to ask of the people whom they owe to lend them money to pay the very interest. Confederation collapsing economically. I'm sorry, I don't have that page for you. That's the best one, too. I guess, it's not here. Failure of states to support Congress, consequence of a helpless Congress. Well, we read about some of that for sure. Okay, here we go. Spirit of profligacy engulfing the people. Williams, unhappily for us, immediately after our extrication from a cruel and unnatural war, luxury and dissipation overran the country, banishing all that economy, frugality, and industry which had been exhibited during the war. Enfeebled United States exposed to danger. Madison, should a war be the result of the precarious situation of European affairs and all the unruly passions attending it be let loose on the ocean, our escape from insults and depredations, not only on that element, but every part of the other bordering on it, will be truly miraculous. In the present condition of the America, the states more immediately exposed to these calamities have nothing to hope from the phantom of a general government which now exists. And if their single resource were equal to the task of fortifying themselves against the danger, the object to be protected would be almost consumed by the means of protecting them. Political dissolution approaching. Massachusetts cheated, hopes blasted. Potential attack by former Americans. Potential attack by covetous Europeans. Pinckney again warning them. It must be obvious that without a superintending government, it is impossible the liberties of this country can be secured. Yeah, but you got to have moral people engaged in it, not criminals. Do you understand the problem here? Shays' rebellion merely symptomatic. Weakness had precipitated moral decay. Ellsworth. How have the morals of the people been depraved for the want of an efficient government, which might be established justice and righteousness? For the want of this, iniquity has come upon us like an overflowing flood. lawlessness in all the states. It was a mess. Good neighbors were becoming enemies. Without a constitution, despotism loomed. New constitution must be obtained soon. Circumstances favorable to forming a new system. Need for a constitution to provide a strong union. That's a lot there to read, even more. That's a study. I'm definitely going to take the time to read it. I was trying to get it done before this morning, and I was interrupted a bit, but I got it done. I got it done this week, and I'm happy to be back. And it's starting to get really interesting, and really, it's always been so relative and parallel to everything we're experiencing and seeing. It probably always would be if we were looking at it, if we chose to open this box. But many people just choose to close it and not look at it and ignore it and pretend it isn't happening and pretend these things aren't happening. And these things are happening. Hey, you guys, good to see you all. Hi, Eric. Thank you for my pretty banner. Hi, Ostoa. Good to see you. Hey, Patriot Starfighter. Echo. You can pretend it isn't happening, but I'm going to leave you with the meme for Friday. That I saw today. And I was like, yep, that's it. That's about right. That's about what's going on here today. Oh my, I've posted. Oh, and actually, this picture, I'm gonna screenshot this picture because I don't want to lose this picture. I saved it, but if it got removed, this is quite a historical picture. Check this out if you're not looking at this. Check this out. What is that you see over the Bay Bridge, San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge? I'm sorry, I didn't mean the Bay Bridge. I just can't talk today. Do you know what those are? Those are ospreys. Remember that video I showed you earlier this week? They touched down in Larkspur, California. There's another military chopper. That's not an osprey. He's going to go under there. Yeah. Someone said here, I was lucky enough to fly under the Golden Gate in a helicopter once. I went under the Golden Gate in a cruise ship. That was fun. So, but the meme of the day, the real meme of the day. Gosh, I've posted quite a bit. Is this. I'll leave you with this. And it's interesting because I was thinking about it last night, and I was thinking about the way the government is to us right now at this time in history is like ticks. And the way people are acting is like you're not covered in ticks. Would somebody create that meme, please? Because that's what I feel like we're at. And I'm walking around and I'm looking at people. There's this great book by Max Lucado about the Wemmets and dots and how the people put dots or stars on you and stickers. And the way she had to resolve to not let either stick on her was she had to go see Eli, the woodworker, the woodcarver, every day. And he told her, you're beautiful just the way I made you. You don't matter what those other people say. And they do. They don't matter. And so when she left the wood shop and she left, she came there covered in, they weren't stars because the stars are only for celebrities who we celebrate their lives. The Wemmicks were always marred up and they were given stickers because they had chinks and nicks and they were the rejects and the ragamuffins. But when she left the woodworker's shop, just then a sticker fell off One of those dots fell off of her. And the point is, we don't need any of them on us. But people are walking around with things on them, and they're allowing these parasites to stay on them and affect them. And I mean, I still have some on me too. I'm fighting them off constantly, and that's a twofold story, because I'm seeing the government like ticks is what I'm saying, and I see people walking around and letting them do it when it came to the masks, when it came to the vaccines and the way they complied. It's just that is not how we're meant to live our lives, by being government subjects and doing everything that's tyrannical. It is run by criminals. They're hurting people. They're hurting people. They're hurting our children. So we need to know what we're doing better, and we don't ask these people what to do. We take this up like real Americans. We have the power. If you don't know that we have the power, you have to go to Truth Tornado and watch more videos on what is going on. That's what you have to. Oh, Arya, you saw 2 of those going east. Cool. Right on. Nope, that doesn't count, Benjamin. But nice try. Be strong and be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Freedom forever. Yeah, man. I'm liking that, I like seeing those Osprey. If you guys didn't see that, they touched down. Let me show that, and then I'll get out of here for the weekend. Let me just show you that, because that was kind of exciting. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing in Larkspur? And by the way, where is Larkspur? If you didn't also see, The Simpsons predicted the episode of the sinking submarine. There's the link for you right there. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Oh my, I guess I went way back. Crazy week for Humboldt. We had a city council member call one of the constituents an asshole. Oh yeah, that's going to get a lot of attention. They're anarchists. They should get a lot of attention. They should be getting a whole lot of freaking attention. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't be allowed to walk down the street. You freaking frauds. Jesus, I'm sorry. They're your enemy. They're your enemy. They do not love God. They will not say the pledge. They will not say under God. They're anarchists. They're in your face, Humboldt County. You have anarchists in your face mocking you. You have mocking nuns, those same sisters of the perpetual indulgence. We had a run-in with them before I even saw them starting to hit the national scene. But when I researched them, I went, oh, dang, they're a big organization. I don't want nothing to do with them. But I'll stand up against them and I'll call them out. I'm not going to hide from them. I sure didn't hide from them. I don't care who you are. You come at me with a sword. What does it go? With a shield and a sword. But I'm coming at you in the name of the Lord. You got nothing on my God, people. You anarchists, you sisters of the perpetual indulgence, you crooked government criminals. You got nothing. I don't know where that video is. I can't find it. I post too much. That was last weekend anyways. Go to BitChute. Look it up. You can find it. Go to BitChute. Look it up. You can find it. Not really. Just a tiny bit at the end. I love y'all. I hope you have a good weekend, and I hope I get to see you. And maybe I'll do some fun videos on homesteading. I'm normally enjoying life on this California ranch we bought for a song and a dance 20 years ago, and poured our blood, sweat, and tears in it. And, it ain't going with us when we go, but it's fight or flight, and I can't leave. My husband won't leave, and I made a vow to him. I made a vow to my God. I would leave this place if I could, but I also don't mind fighting, because a lot of other people aren't fighting here in California. So maybe it takes a transplant like me from the south side of Chicago to be put smack dab in the middle of the woods. So Humboldt County is heating up. I hope to see you at the city council meeting soon, or the board of supervisor meeting soon. Please just find out and know what's going on in your county for your own self's sake, for your own self, so you can know whether things are good or not good. Is there anything you could do about it or not do about it? It's definitely time. We should all know what's going on, right? And we should all know a butcher, a farmer, and we need to get behind the whistleblowers and get behind the truth and stop tearing each other up. There are some good ancient principles that we could get on the same page for. Amen? Amen. I love y'all, and I'll see you soon.